Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back. It's Jordan here, just getting settled in for the day. Took care of some stuff this morning, and now my eyes turn toward the Lego City. It's like, okay, we got to continue working on this here today. So much to do. I should make a checklist of things to do in the city, but I'm afraid that checklist would be far too long. It wouldn't make any sense to do that because I've got a pretty good idea of what we need to do here. I want to move this lighthouse today because the water, of course, isn't going this way anymore. It's going to be going this way. So it makes more sense to move this lighthouse probably up front here on some of these base plates that I recently added to the beach just to expand the amount of water out front. And then I want to continue working on the boardwalk as well. But I need to figure out how I'm going to make this transition here from the actual boardwalk with the grass and the train track and make it transition sort of around this corner here and connect to the other section of boardwalk, which is right on the beach there. And then I need to figure out how I'm going to transition from beach, lighthouse, into boatyard. And I also need to figure out what I'm going to do with the train track here. I need to I need to fix up these train tracks here so that they're 3 segments long and can fit onto the 48 by 48 base plates. And then, of course, do the landscaping on either side of the train track, figure out how I'm going to connect this road from the Lego City, of course, to the countryside and into the train yard, and then what service roads are going to go through the countryside and into the train yard, and how the vehicles are actually going to get, into the train yard and access the boat yard as well. And then I need to, speaking of roads, I also need to continue fixing up the roads here in the city. The other day I worked on pretty much all of this stuff all along here. So that's looking pretty sweet, but I've got to make my way into the deeper sections of the city and start fixing up all of those roads as well, which, as you know, takes quite a bit of time. And then I need to fix up this, the canal here. I got some more blue base plates, so just for visual purposes, I can very easily just swap out all these green base plates, which of course should be blue. And I also need to make this train track here, like just move these pieces of track, probably like 12 pieces, so 6 base plates here, move that stuff down over there so I can start creating the modified train track. So just sort of like reallocate that because of course this water here is going to have to flow underneath the boardwalk. So I'm going to have to create a customized boardwalk plate as well that goes up a little bit, and we have some arches underneath so the water can flow underneath there, flow underneath the train track, and then underneath this modified road plate here and into the canal. So that's like a specialized plate that I got to create there, in addition to the customized or specialized plates that are going to connect to the canal there. And I also, when I was at the Massive Toy Blowout the other day, I bought a ton of base plates. I can't even remember. It was a lot. What I need to do is unpackage all of those base plates and start laying them, because I think it's going to be easier for me to visualize where things are going to go when this table is covered with studs, because then I can put the blue base plates where the water is going to flow, and I can put the gray base plates where I plan to build the mountains and where I plan to build more countryside plates. So I can put the gray ones down and say, okay, this is going to become grass, this is where the road is going to go, and I can start tacking down brown plate to create the gravel road, which is going to go through the countryside. So as you can probably tell, that is a lot of stuff that I need to take care of. So that's pretty awesome, though. There's no end to the work in this place. I just need to figure out what I'm going to do today, because of course, there's no possible way that I'll be able to do all of that stuff in one video. If I could do that all in one video, you'd have to call me Barry Allen. I'd be the Flash. So I'm gonna start right over here where the boatyard is gonna go. I've got a bunch of blue base plates. I may as well lay them out so I can start to visualize what this boatyard's gonna look like. And I'm also gonna move the lighthouse as well. I think potentially the lighthouse is gonna go between the boatyard and the beach. I'm gonna lay those base plates out, and then I'm gonna start putting down some black plate, because the deepest portions of the water are gonna be black plate with trans blue tiles on top. So I lay the plate onto the base plates, and then I actually lock the base plates together by putting some trans blue tiles on top of the black plate. And this is just gonna square everything off nicely. And look at that, we've got some blue base plates where the water is gonna go. It just makes sense. I'm also locking in those base plates up top as well to like the beach plates, just to try and get everything square. And I also locked it into the boardwalk plate on the far side and one of the green plates as well, just to try and get this Lego math correct. Now I'm going to start laying some of the 48 by 48 gray base plates, and I'm going to make that change to the train track. So I had those in segments of 2 tracks because they were on 32 by 32 base plates, but now they're going to go on 48 by 48. 48 studs, of course, is 3 segments of track because each track is 16 studs. So I'm just moving the plate around and the tile around to make that work, and then I'm actually pressing them down to the 48 by 48 base plate there. So that's actually going to leave 20 studs of base plate on either side of that train track. We'll deal with that in a moment. But I'm going to continue laying more of these light gray plates going into the campground area. I plan on making like giant campground mills plates in the future, and I'm probably going to build those on 48 by 48s just because they're easier to move that way. Trying to think what I can do next. I've got a big bag of green plate, also some 1x2 bricks and some 2x2 bricks, and I've got those 20 studs on either side of the train track. And it's like, okay, well, I may as well just start mills plating some of this stuff because, of course, it's not going to be gray, it's going to be green. Then I could add some elevation with some 2x2 brick and sort of do a little bit of rolling hill effect anywhere that there is green plate, and I'm definitely going to do that. But for now, I'm just trying to get the structure down, so I'm just mills plating it as I would standard. But I did do some rolling green hill effects in my campground and also in the medieval scene, and I can definitely do that here as well, just to add some more texture to the landscape. Now I also need to connect the road because the road has to connect to the parking lot of the vintage diner there. So I decided I would throw a T-intersect right there in front of the zoo, so then they can proceed going toward the campground, or they can turn left heading toward the beach. But as I continue to work on the road in this area, that eventually changes. So I've got the T-intersect there for now. Vehicles can turn left, go over top of the train track, and then they're going to make their way either into the parking lot or proceed toward the beach, lighthouse, boatyard, train yard. So the road is just on the side of the track there. So because there's a road there, I figured, okay, well, maybe I don't need a road in front of the zoo. So I actually got rid of it and just replaced those road plates with some 32 by 32 plates. And that actually saves me a bunch of labor because those roads actually had one side with a sidewalk on it. So I was able to transplant those to the other side of the road over there. And then I'm able to start working on the green landscape over there. So once again, busting out those 2x2 bricks, the 1x2s and the 4x4 green plate. And just like that, I'm pretty much going to use all of the 4x4 green plate that I bought the other day from the pab wall, and also the ones that I bought from Stinks Bricks off Bricklink. So yeah, I consume 4x4 green plate quite quickly, and now there's just a bunch of exposed bricks there. So they actually just put the 16 by 16 road plates in there. So what I did is I grabbed my bin full of my road extenders, which is the dark bluish gray brick, the 1x white plate, and also the 1x dark bluish gray tile, and that's how I extend the road. And I'm creating this like crazy long segment that's going to go between the train track and the road just to expand it. So now the road is going to be 20 studs rather than 16 studs because I'm going to do that on either side. I just have to make sure that I get the line breaks right because there's going to be a line break for, of course, the T intersection, and then there's also going to be a white line break for the entrance to the diner. So just getting the math of that done correctly is a little bit challenging because I've got to like get up on the table. What I should do is just put all this stuff on my desk and build it on my desk. But hey, I'm filming a time lapse and I like having it right here where you can see the entire city. Now you can see I'm creating this giant strip which is going to extend the road, and I'm just pressing that between the train track and also the road. And once I get one built, I've got to build another one because of course I've got to do either side. And then there's actually a couple custom road extenders that I have to do there to accommodate the corner right by the vintage diner as well. And I managed to find some more 4x4 green plate. I remember there's some in my part bins up there that just had to be taken apart. So I'm continuing to add more 4x4 green plate to that corner there. And of course, I also want to do the same thing on the other side of the road, right up against the diner there, just because green looks better than gray. So I'll be quite honest with you, my studio has become an absolute disaster because I have been ripping apart roads, ripping apart train track, rebuilding train track, and I've been trying to reuse everything from the old layout. So there's road plates that are like partly deconstructed, and there's like plates on the base plates, and there's train track that's partly deconstructed, and there's parts in bins absolutely everywhere. There's two of the massive tables that are just covered with this half-built mess. It is chaos, and I've just been putting stuff on that table ever since I decided to take on the project of attempting to build, or starting to build, my Lego city. And as I ripped this stuff apart, I was like, I'll sort it later, don't worry about it, let's just put it on the table, it's not a big deal, yeah, don't worry about it, it'll be easy to sort when the time comes. And today, as I was working, I was looking at the table, and I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many good parts in there that I'm running out of. For example, 2x4 tile, we used them all the ones that I had sorted, we used them all for tiling off the train track. And then I was like, oh, well, now I need to connect all my roads, and I don't have any 2x4 tile. Oh man, that's not good. And I don't have enough 2x4 tile to finish off my train track. And then of course I kept running out of 4x4 green plate. I had to order more 2x2 brick. I had to order all this different stuff. And then it's like, okay, well, you know what? I know there's a whole bunch of all of that stuff on the tables, in the bins, in the half-built stuff. So I decided today that I better take care of this. I really don't want to. I want to continue working on the city, but in order to continue working on the city efficiently, I need these parts, and I need to not be in like a chaos environment. So I decided that I'd better sort. And this took me a few hours. I was just taking everything apart and sorting it by things that can build road extenders. I put those in one bin. Then I put all the 2x2 and 2x3 brick in a bin, all the 2x4 brick in a bin, all of the light gray plate and tiled off light gray plate that can be used to create sidewalks, all of the random colored plate that can be used to elevate the road off the base plate by one plate, or just be used to create the colors of sidewalk that don't matter when it's covered by the gray. And then all of the light bluish gray tiles together, all of the dark bluish gray tiles together. It's sort of a rough sort. I'm not doing it perfect because I know all of these parts are going to have to get used right away. That's sort of why I was putting it off, but my gosh, it's going to make my life a lot easier when this is fully sorted. It's funny because you could see just like the giant mess of like partly deconstructed stuff and bins slowly but surely get cleaned up throughout this time lapse. And I actually had a lot of fun doing it. I did it in dead silence, and I just did it. Just concentrated on it. Didn't even like look away once. Maybe a few sips of coffee here and there, but just crushed it out. And let me tell you, the end result is absolutely magnificent, and I am happy because now I'll be able to focus moving forward. Plus, I'll be able to find the parts, and that's a good thing because I need those parts. Like, how much better is this? It needed to be done. Got a giant stack of base plates. The stack wasn't that big prior to me breaking down everything. These are the only road plates that remain. So there's like one T intersection. I made sure not to take apart any of the ones that have my sidewalks. As I've been mentioning, I bought a bunch off Facebook and they just weren't built to my standards. So I've been ripping those apart, and that was mainly what had to be deconstructed there, but my standard has that vent and the nice line and all that. And then there's just a T intersection that's ready to be built from scratch. There's a straight, there's a bunch of straights under there, and then there's some with like the bicycle lane and the grass on the side. So there's no point in taking these apart because I know I'll have to use these. But now I can actually find them efficiently. Before it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going through the stack of half-built stuff for the 8th time, and I've grabbed this base plate for the 8th time and said, no, this is garbage. Eventually that needs to be taken apart. Okay, well, now that's taken care of. There's all these scraps right here. These are just like random base plates that I chop up to fill the weird spaces in the city. A giant plate of bin. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious. That is dyslexia, folks. A giant bin of miscellaneous plate. That was hilarious. Okay, 2x2 and 2x3 bricks. Some of the landscaping stuff, light gray tile, gray brick, red tile, the tiles with the lines for the road, and then some 1x2s, and a giant bin of road plates. And I made sure to take all the tiles out because I need these tiles for attaching the roads in the actual city. The only stuff that I didn't take apart is this, just because I was lazy. I should have grabbed a big art separator and done it, but I'll do that another day when I need these 1x2 tiles. That's like the underlying plate work and tile work for the ballast train track. And then I've got all this stuff here, which is going to be like my sidewalk building bin. There's no sense in taking all these tiles off because 6-wide sidewalk is what I'm going to need to use. So I just kept all the light gray plate and fully tiled off stuff in there. And then this is my road extender bin. So it's got everything I need to build the road extenders. There's no point in taking it all apart because I can just doctor this stuff up just like I did during that time lapse for that really long stretch of road. And there's 2x4 brick and then all the water stuff there. And the only thing that I didn't get around to sorting is this giant slop bin right here. I could dump this out and keep going, but I just got a little bit bored, so there was a little bit of stuff left in the end. I sort of want to keep this together. This used to be by the train station, although I do need those 2x2 tiles. That's like the pull-in for the bus stop that used to be right there. Yeah, I sort of want to reuse that somewhere in the downtown core. It just makes sense. And then there's the base plates that we started with this morning, so I still got a bunch of stuff. And because I sorted all that, I was able to find a bunch of parts, which is excellent because I was able to clean up over there by the beach and also the vintage diner. So you can see this is all nicely attached now, so that's good. I'm not sure if the lighthouse will stay in this exact position. Figure that out once I actually start working on the boatyard. I'm thinking just this style of thing coming out and boats pulled in, and we'll have multiple spots, and then we can have overhead cranes and stuff. And what I'd like to do is have all of this stuff, the train yard, maybe not the train yard, but the boatyard for sure, probably raised up 3 or 4 bricks. So it's like this high up off the ground, and there'll be a ramp coming up to the boatyard. So then when these giant boats pull up, this platform is actually at an adequate height to accommodate the boats. It's like that. And that just makes sense. I actually had a boatyard like that in the past. And then the train yard probably won't be elevated like that, but maybe there'll be pull-in spots where it's elevated on either side of the train or something. I think the train yard will probably be ground level. I think it's more common for trains to be on ground level because they don't really like gradients as much as you would think in a train yard. I don't recall seeing gradients of any type in a train yard, but in a boatyard, definitely have it raised up off the water. Yeah, so this is really awesome. I was able to clean up here because I had the parts, so I actually filled in that. I couldn't find that extension right there for the parking lot, so that all makes sense now. And then I also fixed up the sidewalk right there, so it made sense. I added the 2 corners and then also the extension right there. It had to be 4 studs of extension just to make it fit. And I found some tiles when I was sorting there, so I tiled off some more of the train track there. You can see my road extenders, just making that 20 studs wide, all the way to the diner, toward the train yard. Yeah, I didn't think there needed to be a full-out road right there because there was a road right here. So my thought process is that's going to be the only place where we're going to have the regular Lego City Road. It's going to end there, and it's going to end there, and it's going to transition into a more gravel type road, sort of weaving toward the campground on that side. And this is going to turn into more of like a custom built service road leading toward the train yard and also the boatyard. So yeah, I just think that is like, oh, this is getting a little bit repetitive here. How can we break this up? Let's try something different and build some sort of gravel road, service road. I also found a bunch of parts, as I've been mentioning there, and I was able to clean up this corner, so that corner now looks pretty good. I didn't want to do it originally because I didn't know exactly how that train track was going to work. I still need to get in here with the green plate and get all this green plated, but I want to transfer this. This is a half base plate and a half base plate, so that may as well sit on a full base plate, so I can just rebuild that, so that just makes more sense as well. And then I'll probably make this, yeah, just plate that in there so I can blend the train track right in, just like I did on my other corners here. Now I don't want to get too far I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with it's been a long day. The dyslexia is bad. I'm sorry. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself when it comes to plating this, because once again, I still need to figure out the transition there. But that's what an entire day looks like, folks. It is 7:30 at night. Granted, I did do a little bit of video editing and shipping this morning for my Whatnot auction, so yeah. But hey, I still think this looks pretty clean, and I think this looks really good. I wish I had a before and after. Oh my gosh, that was an absolute disaster. And now I can come in here tomorrow with a clear mind and continue working on this stuff. Because sometimes you stand here and you look and you're like, oh, okay, what do I need? What parts do I need? Now I can actually find the bloody parts rather than scavenging through the half-built stuff. But yeah, that's pretty clean. Super clean. Super clean. I got my vacuum going there every day. But yeah, this side too, look at that. Way better. Like there was really no structure here at all before, but now we can actually get in there and access the parking lot. So I'm really excited about that. Still need to figure out what's gonna go down over here and what's gonna go down over there. Like I was mentioning, I can definitely add some terrain here, and I'm really excited about having more green space in the city, because like this is new green space, that's new green space. There's so much more like room that I can do like really cool things so that we can actually make this look natural. Add some nice like vegetation and hills and stuff on the side of the road, and we can actually make it look pretty cool. It's not gonna be like a massive hill, but if we can go like 3, 4, 5 bricks up and make it like a nice hill, that'd be pretty cool. Just like doing that every so often all throughout the city. I hope you enjoyed this update. I know I sure did, and I can't wait to continue building, especially now that my mess is cleaned up. I'm just having so much fun doing this. It takes time, definitely takes a lot of time and a lot of parts, but my gosh, the end result is so nice. And even like the short-term end result at the end of each day, I'm just so happy with it. Oh, that's awesome. I love Lego. I love the fact that I'm back to being a Lego city builder, because the basement was jammed, like it was full. And I feel like I really couldn't be a Lego city builder anymore, because I didn't have any space to grow. All I could do is try and change what I already had, and I'm not really a huge fan of deconstructing everything and reconstructing it. But now I feel like we just have unlimited space. I'm fired up. That's it, everybody. Farewell. Have a great day. Farewell.